Hello all. Today I'm introducing a new series I will be doing entitled Cooking with Jozef. Today we are going to be making Chebureki, which is essentially a Ukrainian deep-fried meat dumpling. We're going to do the thing with the dough, making it. So we're going to need about 1 egg. That's right, 1 single egg. Next we're going to need some salt and pepper. Give them a little shaky shake. We're also going to need sugar because, everything tastes better with sugar. It's like candy. It's amazing. You can't exactly make dough without flour, so of course we need flour. And this isn't for the faint of heart, but we're going to add a cup of vodka. You can do this if you're a savage like myself, but really I'm not because I can't even finish this cup of vodka. Next, we are going to start the dough process. So for this, you're going to need the biggest possible bowl you can find. We're going to start by adding roughly 3 cups of flour. I realize that I have a thing in my hand that measures out about a cup, but we're professionals here. Eyeball everything, never measure everything. It's the motto of how to be a good baker. Precision never ever made anything taste good, am I right? Never mind the salt and pepper magically appearing. Next we're going to get our water, and then we're going to add that magically appearing salt and pepper into our dough mixture, except instead of, shaking it in there, we're actually going to twist it in there so some of it gets in there. Next we're going to grab our sugar and forget to add it in until about halfway through the dough making process. And then we're going to go grab that egg that we put back in the fridge because we're smart, We're going to make a well to make it look like we know what we're doing, and then we're going to crack that egg into the well. Well, that's a deep subject. Now that we have all of our components brought into the dough mixture here, we're going to start slowly adding our water in. We're going to get our hands a little bit dirty here. Once we've added our water, we're going to get right up in there. This isn't no professional cooking show. This is old school methods of cooking. There's no professional tools here, only myself. Wait. At this point, you're going to want to keep working your dough until it looks a little bit like this. At this point, it might look like a melted alien brain, but that's no problem. We're going to add in our secret ingredient, which is just sunflower oil. It'll help give the dough a nice flavor. Just keep kneading your dough, and if it continues to look like a melted alien brain and stick to your hand, just add more flour. Once your dough is ready, just grab a cloth and cover it for about 10 to 15 minutes. Once you've cleaned up your station, we're going to work on the filling for a Chebureki. We're going to start with a vegetarian option. It starts with all of this garlic, literally all of it. Half an onion, some mushrooms, and some carrots. For this recipe I was going to add cabbage, but I'm poor and my parents don't have any, so... First, we're going to start with the carrots. You may be wondering why I have baby carrots. Well, like I said before, I am poor and this is all my parents had, so... We're going to throw out anything that looks rotten because, well, it's rotten. Now, for the next step, we're going to pay close attention to how many fingers we had when we started this, and... Now, after losing probably all the tips on our fingers, we're going to put everything aside, take our pile of carrots, and put them into a bowl that we've so generously set aside. Looking back on this, with using the baby carrots, I wonder if my parents really care at all. Once you've done that, we're going to take the next little bit of time and clean up the mess that is our life. The next step involves our chef's knife. We're going to put it down because it's sharp and we don't want to cut ourselves. And next we're going to grab our onion and start peeling back those layers. Once we start cutting into our onion, we're just going to cut off the tips. And this is a little tip that I learned back in the day. All you need to do is cut into the first layer and then you can easily peel it off with very minimal waste. Now we're going to take our onion and cut it in half. And we're slowly going to start not crying while we dice this onion. Oh God. Once we have our pieces diced up here, we're going to take a look at them. You want them about a medium size. You don't want them too small because then they'll just disintegrate. And if you have them too big, it'll just be too oniony. Once that's done, we're going to take out our mushrooms and we're just going to cut them up into nice big slices. We don't want them too big though because there's not mushroom. Once again, taking the time to reevaluate our life while we finish cutting up our mushrooms. And then we can realize that our veggie mix is slowly coming to fruition here. We have our onions, we have our carrots. There's only one thing missing. Ah yes, the garlic. Now that we have a healthy dose of vampire kryptonite, we're going to take the dull end of our blade and just use our palm and crush the garlic. Afterwards, we're just going to thinly slice our garlics as to not have huge chunks of garlic in our Chebureki. I like a lot of garlic, but I know a lot of other people don't, so try to make sure they're smaller, just, so you don't offend anybody with your breath. Once you have that done, we can move on with our lives, add it to our bowl, and get to forming our Chebureki. We're going to go back and grab our dough, and then we're going to let it breathe because, air is important and we don't want it to suffocate. At this point, we're going to grab some flour, and we're just going to give our workstation a generous coat of flour because everything needs to flour at some point. Once we've added the dough to our workstation, we're going to grab a rolling pin, and we're just going to knead this dough a little bit more to help give it some form and to help the process move along. Once we've kneaded our dough, we're going to form it into kind of this long sausagey shape, and we're going to play with it for an uncomfortably long time. Once we realize we're still on camera, we're going to stop playing with our long sausage-shaped dough and start cutting them into about an inch-sized pieces. We're going to take off the end pieces, and then we're left with about 9-ish pieces. Next, we're going to take some flour, put it over our rolling pin, take the pieces that we cut, and start rolling them out into ovals. Once we have our oval shape, we're going to take our vegetable filling and fill it right on up. I'd be a little bit leery about how much filling you actually put into these. They can only hold so much, but then again, the oval shape of the Chebureki can never be too big. Right now, all we're doing is cutting off the excess dough that won't actually affect anything. And then we're going to take a fork and just crimp the edges here. I like to do a nice crosshatch where I do it one way, facing one way, and then on the way back have it facing the other way so you get this nice crosshatch feeling. And then we're just going to put it on our cutting board. You're going to repeat this process as many times as you want. As you can see, I've made 5 vegetable ones. I'm going to be making 5 meat-filled ones off camera. Next comes my favorite part. You're going to take whatever oil you have. For this, I'm using sunflower oil. And you're going to want to use as much oil as humanly possible because you want the Chebureki completely covered. Once you've used up all your oil, you're going to want to start heating it up. I'd recommend having it on high until it gets warmed up. You're going to use a little piece of dough that you have left over, and once you see it bubbling, that means it's ready to go, and then you can slowly start adding in your Chebureki masterpieces. You're going to want to turn down the oil though, you don't want it bubbling or splashing in your face. Once both sides of your Chebureki have reached a golden brown color, you're going to take them out and put them on a plate with some paper towels because you don't want to be eating oil. You're going to let that oil drip out onto those paper towels, and you can continue to add in more Chebureki. The entire process takes about 8 minutes. That gives you about 4 minutes of cooking time per side. After the 8 minutes are done, remove and enjoy.